Donald Trump wasted no time moving to his second choice for Attorney General in the last 8 days, going from a Florida man to a Florida woman, former Florida State Attorney General Pam Bondi. Bondi has become a Trump loyalist. It goes back to the first administration. She served as a lawyer and advisor for Trump during his impeachment. She also pushed Trump's claims that the 2020 election was stolen from him.
We are still on the ground in Pennsylvania. I'm here right now, and we are not going anywhere until they declare that we won Pennsylvania. We know that ballots have been dumped. There were ballots that were found early on. We've heard that people were receiving ballots that were dead. You know, the thing that's happening all over the country. Were they legal ballots?
It is about the integrity of this election. And every vote, as Mayor Giuliani said, in every state must be counted fairly. We need to fix this. We need to remedy this now because we've won Pennsylvania and we want every vote to be counted in a fair way.
And here's what Bondi said about the department that she now hopes to lead just last August.
The prosecutors will be prosecuted, the bad ones. The investigators will be investigated because the deep state, last term for President Trump, they were hiding in the shadows. But now they have a spotlight on them, and they can all be investigated, and the House needs to be cleaned out.
All right, our panel's here. Molly Ball, senior political correspondent for The Wall Street Journal. Dana Milbank, political columnist for The Washington Post. Kate Bedingfield, CNN political commentator, former Biden White House communications director. And Brad Todd, CNN political commentator, Republican strategist. Welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for being here. Brad, you know, I think you said it here first a couple of days ago that there was no way Matt Gaetz was going to go through. And clearly, there were probably way more than just 4 people who were going to oppose this nomination.
8, 12, 14. I mean, I think he had a real problem. And it was obvious to everyone. And I think they knew that when they nominated Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz now hopes to get out of the ethics report coming out in the House. He gets to go home, having proven he's close to Donald Trump, maybe mount a run for governor of Florida. So in the end, everyone may get a consolation prize. You know, maybe like The Price is Right. You take something home.
Pam Bondi, Molly Ball, has been on the political scene. I first covered her when she flew around with Mitt Romney and campaigning in Florida. I think those of us who, you know, we were texting each other about this development last night because not necessarily something that had been expected. But, I mean, to Brad's point, she compared to Matt Gaetz, that comparison is, you know, they're worlds apart, even if there might be people who would raise questions about her nomination.
Well, and although she has those, as you say, more establishment bona fides than a Matt Gaetz, she also is someone who has been a Trump loyalist, right? She was very early to endorse him in 2016 when a lot of people in Florida were on board with other candidates, when Trump was viewed much more skeptically. And she's been loyal to him throughout, you know, defending him in the impeachment, as you noted before. So I think she is viewed as someone who can sort of bridge the traditional Republican establishment and sort of MAGA world, because she obviously has been very loyal to Trump, and but she has more traditional experience. So particularly compared to someone like Matt Gaetz, who had barely practiced law, the fact that she has actually been a state attorney general for 2 terms, that she has done the more traditional, you know, has prosecutorial experience and that sort of thing, I think is going to really warm the hearts of a lot of Republican senators who were having so much heartburn over Matt Gaetz and who frankly didn't know where to start with him. You know, was it the lack of qualifications that was most disturbing? Was it the ethics stuff? Was it other stuff? Was it his, you know,
by
conflicts
ethics stuff, you
with
mean possibly having sex with a minor?
All of that.
Possibly
yes.
multiple occasions. Yeah.
Yes.
Dana?
Well, look, I don't want to attribute any strategy to the president-elect here, but it is kind of genius to put Matt Gaetz out there as sort of a stalking horse. And anybody you put up after that is going to look reasonable. So I think a little bit of that is what's happening here. I mean, overall, he's set up. It's largely a vanity project, right? It's an administration full of loyalists. It's a lot of Fox News contributors. So in a vacuum, I think we'd be saying, wow, I mean, none of these guys seem to have any particular relevant experience for the job. But, you know, I mean, as somebody who's worried about what the Trump administration may be doing, I'm saying, well, thank God for that, because there's not necessarily a whole lot of competence.
But he should get loyalists. He should, right? No president doesn't go for loyalists.
Well, sure. I mean, you kind of segue into what I was going to say, which is yes, she absolutely benefits from not being Matt Gaetz. I mean, you want to follow the person who, you know, went down in flames. You know, that you're going to benefit by comparison, but I don't think we should lose sight of the fact. I mean, she was an ardent 2020 election denier. I mean, there are still fundamental questions about whether somebody being appointed to run the Justice Department should be somebody who's willing to just blatantly lie on behalf of the president. And so, yes, obviously Matt Gaetz's character flaws, shall we say, and complete lack of experience for the job makes her look better by comparison. But she is still somebody who has been willing to just lie when Trump asked her to, and I think that should be of concern to people.
Brad, I take your point about loyalty. I mean, every president,
of course,
wants to appoint, and that's how it works, right? But is there a difference in your view between loyalty and fealty? And is there a difference on this specific job of Attorney General, where there is supposed to be some presumed independence in terms of how
wait
the
a minute, though.
department acts?
Pam Bondi has been the Attorney General of one of the largest states in the country, one of the most, and Florida's an active state in multi-state litigation. She has a long track record here.
Yeah, I'm not trying to raise a question about her experience.
Yeah,
I'm asking the question about in this particular role and how loyalty does it then go to fealty, and how does that play out?
I think every Republican senator, all 53, expect the Attorney General to go to the Department of Justice and make heads roll. I mean, Republicans do not think this agency currently is functioning in a nonpartisan, neutral way, and justice must be neutral. So I think that absolutely hope Pam Bondi goes over there and does what Donald Trump wants, which is to clean house.
Yeah. So you expect she'll be confirmed?
Yes, I do.
All right. Coming up here on